The 2026 Winter Olympic Games officially kick off today. The opening ceremony takes place this afternoon, marking the start of the Milano Cortina Games. As the US enters the final moments of prepping its athletes for the competitions, America is also feeling the pressure of its current political climate. Minneapolis, Minnesota reached a boiling point with clashes between protesters and Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers, or ICE, this month, and the killing of two American citizens, Renee Good and Alex Pretty. As these tragedies were met with outcries across the country, US Olympic officials are changing the name of an athlete community space for the Games from the Ice House to Winter House.
The U.S. figure skating, hockey, and speed skating organizations are hosting the club venue in a Milan hotel. They said the name change reflected the concept of creating a private space free of distractions for athletes and their guests to celebrate the unique experience of the Winter Games. This comes as hundreds of protesters rallied in Milan's Central Square last weekend, demanding the U.S. ICE agents who are assisting with security at the Games this month leave Italy entirely.
According to US officials, an ICE unit will help monitor for criminal activity at the Games, but will not conduct any immigration operations. And in the past, this kind of activity from US agents has been standard, but in the wake of the violence in Minneapolis, many Italian politicians, including Milan's mayor, said these officers are no longer welcome in their city. First of all, are you looking forward to the Olympic Games, Amber?
I'm very excited. I love the Olympics. I get super thrilled about them every time they come around. I loved when they changed it to where the summer games and the winter games were on off schedules. So it was every 2 years you got an Olympics instead of every 4 you got both.
Sure.
Amazing. More Olympics, spread it out. Yes,
excellent.
I love it. But it's always a shame, I think, when politics get too involved in sports, because they are opportunities, especially in the case of the Olympics, for the country to really come together around a shared goal and a shared celebration. Much with the Super Bowl and the halftime show, that's gotten to be a distraction as well. And Ice House, Winter House, it seems a bit silly to me that the idea that people, I guess, would enter the hospitality tent and immediately think of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It's the Winter Games. There's ice everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I take that point. I wonder, though, like, I interpret this not as we can't have a thing called the Ice House because we're opposed to ICE, the immigration agency, and more it will become a kind of meme, or there'll be a lot of trollish comment about it, or it'll become a thing which it just isn't if we change the name, rather than the name change in and of itself being indicative of a political point of view. Now, there's a whole other debate about sport and politics and how those two things intersect. I can't recall exactly what the games were at which the two Black American athletes on the podium gave the Black Power salute.
Atlanta?
I think it was before that. I think it was further in the past than that. It was, yeah. Our experts in the production room are saying it was in the 60s sometime. But there have been instances like that where people have obviously used the platform of sports to make political points. I'm not opposed to people making political points just because they're sports stars. They have the right to use their platform however they like. The one thing I would say is we're just in such a divisive moment that I think it's just difficult to find anything that people rally around in an apolitical or non-political way, and there are so many instances where just people see things through completely different lenses.
Yeah, that's how I feel. This is like the one thing we have that has not been completely overtaken by politics. Can we just have the one thing?
Right.
Lindsay and I were talking recently on the show about the Australian Open, and the reporter who was there asking questions about the U.S. political dynamics to the tennis players. And it similarly became such a distraction, and all the questions went viral, and these athletes were clearly not happy with having to address this. They weren't prepared to do it. They didn't want to do it. And so then you put them in a difficult position because they started getting heat for not saying anything from people who wanted them to vociferously denounce ICE. And now they're suddenly the bad guy when they just didn't want to comment because they didn't feel like it was their place.
Yeah, while I would generally, of course, almost always defend journalists, I found that thing at the Australian Open peculiar because someone sent me a clip of that being asked of one female player, and I was puzzled by it, and I asked the person who sent me it, is this player known for a political viewpoint? And it's like, no, this guy was asking every single American player at a press conference. It was whether they were, was it awkward for them as an American or something? It was suggesting that they should be critical.
Yeah, that they felt, did they basically feel a certain type of way about being an American athlete and technically representing the country, which the Australian Open, I mean, tennis generally, you're not really representing the country. I mean, yes, you're an American player and you want the Americans to do well.
But you're not playing
it's an individual
for the
sport,
country.
Right. It's not like the Olympics. So it is a fundamentally different scenario that's taking place there. And there were, you know, a couple of athletes like Madison Keys and Coco Gauff who have shared political statements in the past. But when you're talking about Taylor Fritz and Jessica Pegula and Amanda Anisimova, they have been very apolitical. And now you're forcing them to use their platform in a way that you want them to.
Right.
And it was obviously meant for this reporter to try to get this like catchy moment.
Play American players or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. And it was seemed to me contrived in that way to create a politicization of people who were not political figures. I think it would be completely different if you had the equivalent of a Colin Kaepernick kind of figure who is very much identified with a political stance. Then that form of questioning becomes much more viable. But to ask it as a broad thing, I think that's a bit much. And I kind of hope that what we're talking about is heeded at the Olympics, because I don't think, you know, that question to every single American Olympic athlete would be a bit much, I would think.
Yeah, too much. And we have so many amazing athletes who are going to be in the Olympics. Lindsey Vonn recently came out of retirement. She won, I believe, her first World Cup in quite a number of years. Then sadly suffered another ACL injury, but she is still going to compete, which I think shows a lot of courage. I don't know if she'll be able to walk again after these Olympics, but kudos to her nonetheless. We've got some great snowboarders. The hockey team is obviously great. And so I just hope people are going to go into this feeling hopeful and excited and wanting to cheer on these incredible athletes, and that the athletes are not subjected to political interrogations.
Sure. My favorite at the Winter Olympics is the luge, because I just think that's a crazy sport. So thanks for joining us on Rising. The teleprompter that normally tells me what to say sounds something completely different, but do join us next week. We will be back at the same time in the same place. Amber will be back here on Friday. Robbie and Lindsay will be here Monday through Thursday, and we hope you join us for that. Have a good weekend.